Not long ago, I was at my lowest point in life. And I didn't realize it back then, but getting rejected from all of the dental schools that I had applied to was actually a massive blessing in disguise. You see, I'm not special, okay? I'm just a regular, everyday guy who discovered a passion for the markets and decided to take trading seriously. Eventually, I turned a cute little hobby into a full time career. And if you had told me back then that I'd be making five figures daily while working only 2, maybe 3 hours a day in the charts, I wouldn't have believed you. And I would have said, show me how. So that's what I'm going to do in this video today. I'm going to show you how. And you might be wondering, what does it actually take to become consistently profitable, right? So there are four key pillars to every trader's profitability, right? So the first one is strategy, okay? The first one is strategy, right? Because you have to have a strategy in the market. And this is what everyone focuses on. And in my opinion, is actually the least important, right? You just need to find an edge in the market. So once you've found that, that's when you focus on risk management, okay? Now, risk management is very important because you could have the best strategy in the world, but if you're not managing risk properly, it's not going to work, right? You're going to lose money and you're going to blow up. So you need to have risk management, but you also need to have a strategy around that, okay? And the third thing you need is the proper psychology or the proper mindset, all right? And lastly, tracking, right? Because if you're not tracking your performance, how can you expect to improve it? So these are the four key pillars to every trader's profitability. Now, with strategy, me personally, I trade using ICT or smart money concepts. And so I've developed over the years a mechanical trading model that I use that fits my trading personality, right? So you need to find a strategy that resonates with you and your trading personality. Okay, one that you're comfortable with, one that matches your lifestyle. How much time can you commit to being on the charts? What concepts resonate with you and your trading personality, right? So that's strategy. And this is, like I said, our edge, or the mechanical trading model that I use is my edge in the markets, right? And so I execute this model using if-then statements, right? So it's binary, it's ones and zeros, black and white. There's no gray area, right? There's no, oh, I think I should do this, right? I know what to do every day. I approach the charts like a bricklayer every day and make the same types of trades over and over and over again, right? And by the end of it, I got a big mansion, right? That's the goal. And so you should be taking the same types of trades, taking the same types of setups over and over again, executing the same. And if you're not, well, then it doesn't really sound like you have a strategy. It really just sounds like you're gambling in the market, right? And so that was my problem. I struggle with discretion, right? The ability to choose what should be done in a particular moment. And mechanical is actually the opposite of that, right? You follow a set of rules, right? And those rules keep you operating in a framework that sets you up for success, okay? And so that is strategy. That is the first component, right? And then risk management is what you need built around that strategy, right? To keep you from blowing up and to keep you profitable, right? So risk management, when I talk about risk management, I'm talking about R multiple. I'm talking about position sizing, right? Position sizing, daily rules, right? So I have daily rules that I follow. How many trades am I allowing myself to take a day? What are my operating hours in the charts? How many losses do I allow myself per day? How many wins per day, right? And if you don't know these things, well, then no wonder you're blowing up, right? No wonder you're not making money because one, you don't have a strategy, but two, you don't have proper risk management or, implemented into that strategy. Okay. So what do I mean by R multiple position sizing? Why is it important? Well, this preserves not only monetary capital, right? Not only money. I think most people get the money part, but it preserves mental capital as well, right? And that's going to actually enforce stability in our equity curve, right? If your equity curve is like this up and down, huge swings, you're probably not sizing properly on your trades. You're probably not practicing consistent risk management, consistent sizing in your trades. And so that's why your equity curve is all over the place, right? But we want to enforce stability in our equity curve, right? A healthy equity curve with minimal dips along the way, because you can't win every trade. Obviously, you're gonna have losers. You're gonna make mistakes, right? So risk management enforces stability and actually helps achieve longevity, not only monetarily, but mentally as well. And it kind of ties into the third thing, right? Psychology. So psychology, that it's all about patience, discipline, and managing emotions and having the right mindset for your trading, right? The professional, they have the right mindset. That's why they're a professional, right? They can think in terms of probabilities. And so by developing a professional mindset and being able to manage our emotions in the charts, that's going to help prevent burnout, right? Because if we can mentally accept a loss, you got to remember, traders who can't mentally accept a loss, they're not going to profit in the long run, right? Because they're going to revenge trade. They're going to try and make that money back, right? They're going to blow up their account in the long term because they can't mentally accept that losses are just the cost of doing business, right? And so we need to think in terms of probabilities. That way we know in the long term, as long as we're following our strategy, right? Following our rules and practicing proper risk management, we know that because we're thinking in terms of probabilities and we know we have a proven strategy built around that, we know we're going to make money in the long run, right? As long as we're taking the right R multiple setups, as long as our win rate is correct, right? With the R multiple that we're using, boom, we're making money, right? So for example, if you're taking 3-to-1 setups, right? You're risking $1 to make 3. Well, that tells me, one, I only need to be right 25% of the time to be break even. So if I'm right any more than 25% and I'm taking minimum 3R setups or 3-to-1 setups, then I'm making money, right? So that's how we got to think about it. And so when you think like that, a loss shouldn't really mess with you. And what happens to most people is they take an L and they want to make it back right away. And so think about it like this. If you find yourself in a hole, right? You're digging a hole. If you find yourself in that hole, stop digging, right? Stop digging. And what most people do is they take an L, right? They're digging the hole and they want to make it back, and boom, it causes them to go back in, overtrade, and they just keep digging deeper and deeper until they blow up, right? So you need to practice patience. You need to be disciplined in your approach. You need to build good habits outside the charts. That way, when you come into the charts, you don't have all these things messing with you. You can't expect to have a messy life away from the charts and then sit down and flip a switch and all of a sudden you're a top performer, right? That's not how it works. That stuff is going to manifest itself. All that personal stuff is going to manifest itself in your trading. You're going to feel like you have something to prove. You're going to try and show somebody that what you can do, right? The ego's going to take over. So you need to have the right mindset. You need to have the right psychology. And lastly, tracking, right? And this is my favorite. I think a lot of people, they get the first three, but they actually neglect this one. And this one's my favorite. So tracking, right? That is journaling and analyzing your progress, okay? And like we said, if you're not tracking it, how can you expect to improve it? There's so many softwares and Notion templates, Excel spreadsheets you can use to make this easy, right? Personally, I use TradeZella. Shout out Umar, it's the best in my opinion. And I've been using it for years, built by a trader for traders, right? This isn't an ad, I just thoroughly enjoy it. I've been using it since it first came out. And so, like I said, if you're not tracking it, you can't improve it. And so you need to be journaling properly inputting your trades, and then analyzing good and bad trends in your performance, right? And so this builds, one, a good habit of journaling, but two, it helps identify weaknesses, right? We talked about identifying bad trends in your trading. And once you can identify those trends through the power of journaling and analytics, looking back at it, you can actually make adjustments in your approach, right? So you can double down on the things that are doing you good, right? That you're doing well in the charts, and then remove the things that you're not, right? So like I said, if you're not tracking it, how in the world can you expect to improve it, right? And so when we talk about refining our trading, this is what I mean. Going through, removing the things that don't work and doubling down on the things that do, right? So you don't want to be a jack of all trades, right? You want to be a specialist. And so that's what tracking and journaling helps you do. And one of the really good things that I found in my process of journaling is I have a few things that I do at the end of every day. So I'll ask myself what I do right, what I do wrong, and where do I want to improve. And by doing that, I do that every day, whether I take a trade or not. And by asking myself that, it allows me to kind of dump my brain, right? I can do a brain dump at the end of the day. And that way, those things aren't, weighing on my mind, weighing on my psyche as I go into the next trading session. Okay. Because, and I do it in that order, right? I do, what did I do right today? Because you can always do something right. You followed your rules, you showed up even, you entered without hesitation. But then what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong today? And then the last thing I always ended on is where can I improve? And I do that on purpose because I want to take that last thing I wrote, that last little brain dump, and that's going to stay with me into the next day, right? And so if you can mentally just dump all your mistakes onto pen and paper or into some kind of software, journaling software at the end of the day, end of the week, then that's going to set you up for success the next day because you know what you've done wrong and it's going to hold you accountable in the following trading sessions because you know that you told yourself, I did this wrong yesterday and this is what I want to fix today, right? And so if you take dumb trades, whatever, this is also another good thing about journaling. If you're taking dumb trades and you know that at the end of the day, you're going to have to come and be honest with yourself in your journal and admit what you did wrong, what you did right as well. And it just holds you accountable, right? And it's a good habit to have. Like I said, you can brain dump. So that's the 4 key pillars to every trader's profitability. And if you guys need any help with this, right, I've opened up a few slots to work directly one-on-one with me. Okay, so there's going to be a link in the description. You can click that. It'll take you to this webpage. Watch the little explainer video, and then you can click here to apply and work with me, right? So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.